Brad here with Twisted Elk Brewery. Today we were in a unique position to be able to shoot this video. So we have two generations of SS Brewtech fermenters, or unitanks as they call them, opened, where I can kind of show you the differences. We actually have three generations of SS Brewtech, so it's kind of cool to see how they've improved their tank designs over the years. And this one here is the original design that I had purchased. And it uses a cooling coil here, so it's non-jacketed. It's just a single wall, and they give you this neoprene jacket as kind of like an insulator. And you run your glycol through the top here. You can see we'll pull out the coil, and this coil design is got some pretty large spacing and gapping. If we look at it, this is about where it sets. You can see it doesn't really extend all the way down into the cone. So the performance-wise of this, it does a pretty good job as a fermenter. Like it can maintain fermentation temperature, no problem. Cold crashing, we can only get to about 40 degrees. We can get to 39 if we leave the glycol pretty much run continuously, but I don't like to do that, so we usually just set to 40, which is really, it's more than adequate to cold crash it, and then we move it in the bright tank and get it down to 32 for carbonation. So now if we look at also part of this design, so because the cooling coil is in the middle, they mount the larger port over here for the CIP ball. So the CIP ball is actually off to the side. So that causes a little bit of issues when you're trying to run a CIP cycle. It doesn't clean the tank super well. Over on this side, it cleans it really good, and then sometimes over here, we have to get in there and hand scrub it and stuff. So it's not ideal, but it does an okay job. Now, we look at the second generation. So this one was pretty much a newer design that I purchased. Now with this, you can notice it doesn't have that extra port off to the side, but they actually made the port on top for CIP, so you drop it down in the middle of the actual cooling coil. Now you can see, like, this one is definitely a lot heavier. I got to use two hands to pull this thing out of here. And if we look, it is longer. So it does extend farther down into the cone. And I got excited when I saw this. Like, I thought for sure we would get a maximum performance out of this, and we might have been able to get this down to 35 degrees. Because at 35 degrees, we could use it as a true unitank and carbonate in here if we wanted to. But still, amazing enough, with this giant coil in here, we still could. We actually got this tank to about 38. We did set it for 37, and it kind of flirted with that a little bit. Again, the glycol never shut off. So we did get a couple degrees performance better off of this. But it still wasn't 35, which we had hoped. So actually, I'm going to try to pull both these coils out so you can see them side by side. And look at the difference here. So overall, the performance is a little bit better here with this one. But to be honest, because we don't really need to get it any colder, I think I would prefer this, because it's a pain in the butt to pull in and out of there. It's heavy, it's hard to clean, so now the coils are tighter together. We got to get in here and scrub it. Now, the other side of this, I'm going to drop this back in the tank. The other side of this is the spray ball. So yes, the spray ball goes in the center, so it does seem to spread out and clean the tank a little bit better here, but also it hits that cooling coil on the inside. And what ends up happening, it actually heats this up so much, it actually blew our hose out. So we have to make sure that we put something here and relieve the pressure when we CIP this. We didn't have that issue with the other ones. So we're constantly repairing hoses in this because we forget and we clean it and stuff. But other than that, it's actually a pretty good tank. So that's generation 1, generation 2. Now we're going to walk over here and take a look at generation 3. This is the newest one we got, and I got real excited. If you haven't seen our previous video on this, be sure to check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below. But this was a jacketed unitank, and I got real excited when I heard jacketed, and I thought that it was going to be like a double-walled jacketed insulated tank like this guy, but it's not. But it is what they're calling a jacket. There's inside of here, inside this neoprene sleeve, I should say, there's kind of like a little belt. It's like a jacket belt that they welded on the outside. So it's still a single wall tank, and they put that jacket on there. So with that being said, we did run this through the test. We were able to get this tank, I want to say it was about 37 degrees, which was a little bit better performance, but actually it was pretty close to their last design with the longer cooling coils. So it didn't give us much more on the performance side, but however, compared to the other tanks with the cooling coils, it's amazing because number one, CIP comes right down the top and you don't have to pull that coil in and out to clean it. Cleaning it is so much nicer. So I love this tank for that purpose. Performance-wise, a little disappointed in it. I was hoping that it would give us better performance. Now, if they would have put a secondary cone jacket on here the same way, they could have got away with a single wall, and I'm sure it would have increased the cost a little bit because this tank was really kind of their upgrade to their cooling coil tank. So it wasn't really meant to be like a fully jacketed, insulated tank like this was. And there goes our RO system kick on. Sorry about that, I'll speak up a little bit. But I'm going to end that video right here. If you haven't seen our other video, like I said, be sure to check it out and like and subscribe.